Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of rare quarter-dollar coins, cause some of these coins hold an incredible history, and some are worth millions. So today, we are gonna uncover the rarest varieties and their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today, picture this. You're digging through an old jar of coins, maybe hunting for something nostalgic, maybe just looking for loose change to toss into a vending machine. Suddenly, you notice a Washington quarter from 1967. At first glance, it seems ordinary, just another silver-colored coin from mid-century America. But what if I told you that this simple little piece of metal, this humble 25-cent coin, could be hiding enormous value? What if one rare version of this coin has stunned collectors around the world because of its extraordinary scarcity, its unusual minting history, and the spectacular errors that make it a true treasure? Before we dive into the incredible price some of these coins can reach, let's travel back in time to understand what makes the 1967 Washington quarter so special. The year 1967 came right after a turbulent moment for American coinage. Just 2 years earlier, the United States Mint removed silver from circulating quarters, switching instead to a copper-nickel clad composition. Because of coin shortages, fear of hoarding, and rapid changes in currency demand, the Mint made a bold decision: stop using mint marks for several years. That means every quarter from 1967 looks the same on the surface, no matter where it was minted. No little D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, nothing at all. This makes identifying special varieties more challenging, but also far more exciting. Millions upon millions of 1967 quarters were produced. In fact, this was one of the largest mintages of the decade. With such high numbers, most people assume these coins are common and worth only face value. And yes, the majority are. But here's where the story gets thrilling. Hidden among these countless ordinary coins are some extremely rare mistakes, true mint errors, coins that slipped through the machines and into the hands of the public nearly 60 years ago. And those rare survivors can be worth astonishing amounts. Collectors adore this coin not because it is old, but because it comes from a chaotic period in American minting history where the equipment, the presses, and the massive production numbers opened the door to dramatic errors. Some 1967 quarters have been discovered struck on the wrong planchet. Instead of the usual copper-nickel-clad quarter blank, a few were mistakenly pressed onto copper penny planchets, silver dime planchets, even nickel alloy planchets. These pieces look completely different. Some are the wrong color, some are much lighter or smaller, and some even show incomplete designs because the blank was never meant for a quarter die. These bizarre and beautiful accidents fascinate collectors because they tell a story about the minting process itself. Other errors include double strikes, where the coin was struck once, bounced out of position, then struck again, leaving overlapping images like ghostly shadows across George Washington's portrait. Off-center strikes are another dramatic variety, where the coin's design appears shifted sharply to one side, giving the piece a surreal, artistic look. And one of the most prized types is the full brockage error, where one side of the coin carries a mirror image impression left by another coin that got jammed in the press. These are spectacular to see in person and extremely rare to find in high quality. The beauty of these mint errors is that no two are exactly the same. Every one is a unique, accidental creation, a tiny metallic miracle born from the chaos of machinery. And because number 1967 quarters have mint marks, collectors must rely entirely on these unusual characteristics: weight, color, striking details, shape, and surface anomalies to identify truly rare pieces. It's like detective work, and that thrill makes this one of the most exciting coins for treasure hunters and hobbyists alike. Imagine the excitement of flipping a coin over in your hand, noticing a strange curve in the rim, or a faint doubling of the lettering, or perhaps realizing the weight feels oddly light. That moment, that spark of possibility, is what makes coin collecting magical. With the 1967 Washington quarter, that moment can be even more electrifying because some of these rare pieces have sold for staggering prices at high-profile auctions. These are the coins that turn ordinary people into enthusiastic collectors and collectors into passionate researchers. And now, the part you've waited for. How much can one of these rare, extraordinary 1967 Washington quarters actually be worth? For a truly exceptional specimen, with a dramatic error and preserved in remarkable condition, collectors have paid as much as $92,000. Top 2, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating world of the 1974 Washington quarter dollar, a coin from a year many collectors believed was ordinary until the discovery of extraordinary minting errors and ultra-rare survivors that changed everything. The year 1974 was an interesting time for American coinage. The United States Mint was preparing for major changes coming the next year, including the introduction of the Eisenhower bicentennial quarter designs. Pressure on minting facilities was intense. The machines were running non-stop to keep up with the demand for coins, and the system was operating at full speed. And whenever the mint pushes production into overdrive, surprises tend to slip through the cracks. This is exactly what makes the 1974 Washington quarter such an intriguing piece for collectors. You see, the Washington quarter design had already been in circulation for decades by 1974, and millions of standard issues were produced. To most people, the coin looked ordinary. But collectors soon uncovered a small group of unusual pieces that shouldn't exist at all. The 1974 quarter was supposed to be struck only in copper-nickel clad, but a few were mistakenly struck on planchets of different metals. These wrong planchet errors are some of the most dramatic and desirable types a collector can hope to find. For example, a handful of 1974 quarters have been discovered struck on silver planchets left over from earlier years. These coins weigh differently, sound differently when tapped, and have a distinctive shine that immediately sets them apart. Errors like these are breathtaking finds. Other significant errors include the famous off-center strikes. These appear with the design shifted so dramatically that parts of Washington's portrait or the eagle on the reverse appear missing or floating toward the edge. Some off-center pieces are so extreme that you can see only half the design, leaving a huge blank crescent of untouched metal. These coins are visually striking and instantly recognizable as rare. Double die errors are another phenomenon from 1974. These occur when the coin's details are imprinted twice in slightly different positions, creating a shadow-like doubling on letters and numbers. On some 1974 quarters, the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust" shows clear doubling under magnification. These varieties tend to be highly prized, especially in excellent condition, because they represent flaws in the manufacturing process that collectors find endlessly fascinating. Even more dramatic are wrong strike errors. Some 1974 quarters were struck using dies intended for other denominations. These bizarre pieces might carry partial impressions that don't match the coin's size or design. They are incredibly unusual, unbelievably scarce, and each one is unique. The appeal of the 1974 Washington quarter goes beyond errors. Many collectors love this coin because it marks the end of an era. The bicentennial quarters released just 2 years later would forever change the look of American coinage. The 1974 quarter, therefore, stands at the edge of a transition, common on the surface, yet filled with rare stories beneath. Now imagine finding one of these treasures. Picture the thrill of sifting through your change and suddenly noticing the faint doubling on a number, or realizing the design is wildly off-center, or weighing the coin and feeling instantly that something is different. That rush of discovery is what makes coin collecting addictive. It transforms simple moments into unforgettable ones. And among these discoveries, one specific 1974 Washington quarter shocked the collecting world when it surfaced in spectacular condition, displaying an extraordinary mint error and flawless preservation. This coin didn't just turn heads, it set records that "Oh, here's the moment you've been waiting for." The value of the rarest known 1974 Washington quarter, an exceptional error coin in top condition, reached an astonishing price of $89,000. Top 3, if you've ever glanced at an old quarter and wondered whether it might be worth more than pocket change, today's story is going to spark your curiosity like never before. Because hiding among the millions of Washington quarters minted in the early 1980s is one particular year that continues to surprise even seasoned collectors. That year is 1981, a time when the mint was pushing out enormous quantities of coins, yet somehow, against all odds, allowed some extraordinary rarities to slip through the presses and into everyday circulation. And those rare survivors have become the stuff of modern treasure hunting legends. Picture America in 1981. The economy was shifting, inflation was rising, and millions of people handled coins daily without giving them a second thought. The Washington quarter, already a familiar face for nearly half a century, was still struck in the copper-nickel-clad composition introduced in the mid-1960s. The design remained the same: the dignified portrait of George Washington on the front and the majestic eagle on the back. But while the coin looked familiar, something unusual was happening behind the scenes at the U.S. Mint. The pressure to meet skyrocketing demand meant minting machines were running almost nonstop. Rushed production, constant die changes, and heavy machinery pushed to its limits created the perfect environment for rare mint errors, accidents that can turn an ordinary 25-cent coin into a valuable collector's dream. And the 1981 Washington quarter is a shining example of this chaotic and fascinating moment in minting history. Some 1981 quarters have turned up struck on the wrong planchet, which means they were accidentally minted on blanks meant for other coins. A few spectacular examples were struck on nickel planchets, giving them a strange weight and a different metallic appearance. Others were minted on copper planchets, leaving them with an odd reddish tone and an unmistakable thinness. These errors are not just unusual, they are incredibly scarce, and their rarity sends collectors into a frenzy whenever one surfaces. Another type of prized error from 1981 is the off-center strike. These coins look like their design has been pushed dramatically to one side, sometimes so far that Washington's portrait is clipped or partially missing. The more extreme the off-center shift, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date remains visible. These eye-catching pieces are like minting snapshots of what went wrong, making them irresistible to specialists. One of the most thrilling error categories found in 1981 quarters is the double strike and multiple strike errors. These are coins that slipped between mechanical steps and were hit by the dies more than once, leaving ghost-like overlays or distorted images that bend the normal appearance into something wild and artistic. Such pieces are rare in any year, but particularly treasured when found on a 1981 quarter because the minting equipment at the time was built to prevent exactly these kinds of mistakes. There is also the dramatic blockage error, which happens when a previously struck coin gets stuck between the dies and stamps its own reverse image onto a new coin. This results in a mirror-like, reversed impression on one side, a stunning and extremely rare type of minting mishap that makes collectors' hearts race. But even without dramatic errors, a beautifully preserved 1981 quarter can still be special. High-grade examples, coins that survived without scratches, wear, or dulling, have become increasingly scarce. Most 1981 quarters circulated heavily, spent decades in pockets and registers, or ended up in banks and coin-counting machines. Finding a flawless example today is like finding a time capsule from a different era. Collectors love this coin because it combines mystery, rarity, and excitement. It reminds them that even in the modern age, where billions of coins are produced, extraordinary treasures can still appear in your pocket change. And that magical possibility keeps the hunt alive. Now, after exploring the history, the errors, the thrill, and the beauty of the 1981 Washington quarter, it's time for the moment you've been waiting for. One spectacular error example of this coin, preserved in exceptional condition and representing the very best of rare minting anomalies, reached a staggering auction value of $85,000. Top 4, we're diving into the world of the 1985 Washington quarter, a coin that might look completely normal to the untrained eye, but can contain hidden details that turn it into a high-value collectible. Truly appreciate why the 1985 quarter has captured the imagination of coin hunters. We need to go back in time. The mid-1980s were a period of fast-paced production at the United States Mint. The economy was shifting, inflation concerns were rising, and coins were circulating at record speeds. To meet demand, the minting machines were pushed harder than ever, stamping out millions upon millions of Washington quarters. And that's when the magic and the mistakes began to appear. Even though the design of the Washington quarter had not changed since the 1930s, the 1985 run became known for unusual minting mishaps. These errors weren't intentional, and they weren't common. but the ones that did slip through the machinery became incredibly valuable. One reason the 1985 quarter stands out is that it was part of a high-pressure production era, which often leads to mechanical misalignment, die deterioration, and misfeeds of coin blanks. All of this creates opportunities for errors, and every error tells a unique story. Some of the most dramatic 1985 quarter errors include off-center strikes. These are coins where the design appears shifted to the side, sometimes so far that large portions of the coin are blank. If the off-center strike is extreme and the date is still visible, collectors go wild for these pieces. They're rare, eye-catching, and unmistakable. Even a beginner can spot them. Another spectacular error type occurs when the quarter is struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine picking up a 1985 quarter and noticing it looks too thin, weighs too little, or has an odd golden or coppery tone. That could mean it was struck on a cent, dime, or nickel planchet, a mistake that instantly boosts its value. These wrong planchet errors are among the most prized discoveries in the coin world. They're rare accidents that escaped quality control and found their way into circulation, creating mysterious treasure finds decades later. Collectors also look for double die errors on 1985 quarters. This is when the design is imprinted twice at slightly different angles. The result? Letters that look doubled, numbers that appear shadowed, and a coin that stands out under magnification. Doubling on the date or the motto can elevate an ordinary quarter into a sought-after collectible, but the world of mint errors doesn't stop there. Some 1985 quarters have been discovered with incomplete strikes, where parts of the design didn't fully transfer. Others display clipped planchets, coins with crescent-shaped bites missing from the edge due to misfed metal strips. These are unusual, beautiful minting accidents that fascinate collectors, especially when found on coins from the 1980s, a decade not typically known for dramatic errors. Even without mint errors, the 1985 Washington quarter has another potential for value. Great. Most quarters from this time circulated heavily, picking up scratches, dents, and discoloration. Finding one that remains in pristine, nearly untouched condition is a challenge. A high-grade 1985 quarter can shine like a newly minted coin, with sharp details, lustrous surfaces, and no signs of wear. Serious collectors will pay a premium for such well-preserved examples, because survival in such condition is extremely rare. The thrill of the 1985 quarter comes from the idea that a coin worth only 25 cents could hide something extraordinary. It reminds collectors that treasures can still be found in change jars, coin rolls, or even in the pocket of an old jacket. The possibility that a rare error coin is quietly waiting to be discovered makes every search feel like an adventure. And now we reach the moment that every coin lover waits for: the reveal of just how high the value of the rarest 1985 Washington quarter can climb. One exceptional example of this coin, with a dramatic mint error and an extraordinary condition, shocked collectors when it reached the enormous price of $82,000. Top 5, we're journeying into the world of the 1991 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that seems ordinary at first glance, but has rare varieties and remarkable errors that have transformed a few of these coins into valuable collector marvels. To understand why this coin has gained such attention, we have to look at the minting environment of the early 1990s. The United States Mint was operating at extremely high production speeds to keep up with the growing demand for circulating coins. America's population was rising, electronic transactions were just beginning to expand, and quarters were used more heavily than ever. The minting machines worked harder, faster, and for longer hours, creating the perfect setting for unexpected surprises. The 1991 quarter still carried the classic Washington design, the strong profile of George Washington on the front and the soaring eagle on the back. But despite the familiar appearance, something fascinating happened that year. A small number of rare mint errors came to light, errors that slipped through the mint's inspection line and hid themselves among millions of ordinary coins. These errors are what make the 1991 quarter a thrilling subject for collectors. One of the most exciting errors is the off-center strike. Imagine holding a coin where the portrait and date are pushed dramatically toward one edge, leaving a wide blank area on the opposite side. Some of these off-center strikes show such extreme misalignment that they look like they were created by an artist rather than an accident. If the date remains visible, the value rises dramatically, and 1991 examples like these are especially admired. Another remarkable minting mistake involves wrong planchet strikes. These are coins accidentally struck on metal blanks intended for different denominations. A few 1991 quarters have been discovered on dime planchets, giving them a smaller size and a lighter weight. Others show coloration or thickness that reveal they were struck on metal types not meant for quarters. These wrong planchet pieces are extremely scarce, and every discovery is greeted with genuine excitement in the coin community. Double dies also appear in the 1991 series. These errors happen when the design on the die is impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating letters or numbers that look thick, shadowed, or doubled. On some 1991 quarters, the doubling can be spotted on the word Liberty or the motto, "In God We Trust." These doubled varieties are subtle, but collectors admire them because they offer clear proof of a mechanical slip in the minting process, something that was not meant to happen but somehow did. There are also dramatic multiple strike errors that occur when a coin remains in the striking chamber longer than it should. These pieces show overlapping impressions or distorted parts of the design, sometimes giving the portrait of Washington an almost ghost-like appearance. These errors are rare in any decade, but the 1991 examples have become highly desirable because they showcase the unpredictable side of mechanized minting. Another captivating variety occurs when the edges of the coin are clipped. A clipped planchet error results in a curved or crescent-shaped piece missing from the rim of the coin. These are less common in the 1990s, but still appear occasionally on 1991 quarters, and collectors appreciate them for their visual uniqueness. But even without errors, a 1991 quarter can still become valuable if it has survived in exceptional condition. Most coins from the early 90s circulated heavily. They spent years running through vending machines, coin counters, cash registers, and pockets. They were scratched, dropped, handled, and worn down. Finding a flawless example today, one with brilliant luster, sharp details, and no signs of circulation, is a challenge. High-grade examples are rare survivors, and collectors pay good money for pristine specimens that look as if they were struck yesterday. The beauty of the 1991 Washington quarter is the thrill it gives to collectors. It proves that treasure hunting is still alive, that hidden gems still slip through the cracks, and that even a modest quarter from the 90s can turn into an unforgettable find. Every collector dreams of picking up an ordinary coin only to discover it's something extraordinary. And now comes the moment you've been waiting for. Among the rarest 1991 Washington quarters ever discovered, featuring a dramatic mint error and preserved in exceptional condition, one remarkable example achieved a stunning value of $79,000. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of rare and valuable coins, don't forget to show your support by hitting that like button. Share this video with fellow collectors, treasure hunters, and anyone who loves uncovering hidden gems. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on our next exciting discovery. Your support keeps this incredible coin collecting adventure alive.